Hello everyone, this is Jawad Ahmad, and in this series of videos on ophthalmology, we were covering the structure of the eye first. So we have covered the bony orbit in our previous video, and today we are going to be talking about the eyelids. And then in the next succession of videos, we will be covering eyeballs, muscles of the eye, and nerves and vessels in order to cover the whole structure of the eye, and then we will move to the diseases. So let's get started about the eyelids. Now, the eyelids are basically the folds of the skin along with various structures inside of it that covers the eye when the eye is closed. So here you got, these are your eyelids, an upper eyelid, a lower eyelid. So when these eyelids just get closed, so as a result what happens that the eye is closed and they meet one another. Now the upper eyelid as well as the lower eyelid meet each other at the lateral as well as the medial angles. And in the center you have got this fissure. You can see it's an elliptical fissure. So this elliptical fissure that you got in between these two upper and lower eyelids, so this is called as your palpebral fissure. Now moving ahead, so just remember you got upper eyelid, lower eyelid, a lateral and medial angles, as well as a palpebral fissure in between. Now the upper eyelid covers the cornea, the upper part of the cornea, just a little bit of it, where this blackish portion in the eye, this is your cornea, and whereas the lower eyelid just falls short of covering it. So you can see here that it doesn't cover it, it just lags behind in order to cover it, whereas the upper eyelids covers a small portion of the cornea. Now moving ahead, first of all, now at the medial side of the eyeball, you can see here, so there is a small space that you can see from here to here. So this small space at the medial angle is your lacus lacrimalis. So this small portion is called as the lacus lacrimalis. In the lacus lacrimalis you have got a small elevation. So this small elevation is known as the caruncle lacrimalis. Now this is called as your caruncle lacrimalis, whereas just lateral to the caruncle lacrimalis you can see a fold. So this fold is called as this small fold is known as your plica semilinaris. So you have got a lacus lacrimalis, this space, then you have got the elevation which is called as caruncle lacrimalis, and you have got a fold just lateral to the caruncle lacrimalis, and this fold is called as the plica semilinaris. Now moving ahead, now if you look at the medial margin of the eyelid, you can see here, so this is the medial margin of the eyelid, the lower, here the lower eyelid is shown. So there is a small papilla, and this small papilla is known as the papilla lacrimalis. At the medial margin of the eyelid there is a small papilla which is known as the papilla lacrimalis, and at the tip of the papilla lacrimalis there is a small opening that is called as the punctum lacrimalis, if you can appreciate it here. So this small opening is called as the punctum lacrimalis. Now this small punctum lacrimalis then opens into the canaliculus lacrimalis, and then they whole form here over here, they form a lacrimal apparatus that drains the tears into the nose. So this is your, basically we will study it in the further upcoming videos. For now just remember it that at the medial margin of the eyelids, so there is a small open small papilla that is called as the papilla lacrimalis, whereas at the tip of the papilla lacrimalis there is a punctum lacrimalis. Now we have done so far. Now let's move to the structure of the eyelid. Now when we are talking about the structure of the eyelid, we will start from here, from superficial to the deep. In our next slide you can see here, so this slide basically we have got a cut section of it. So first of all you will appreciate that there is a skin. We can take a section just like this. So if we take a section and then we look at it, so this will be your section. At the top you will have over here, this is your skin. Here you can see, appreciate that this is your frontal bone, and it is your frontal sinus. Over here will be lying your brain. So just first know that at which scale, at which angle you are looking at the picture. So at the superficially, we will start from here superficially and move deep inside. So first of all you got the skin. Now after the skin you got the muscles of the which is called the orbicularis oculi muscle, which when contract it closes the eye, and it is basically the palpebral part of the orbicularis oculi muscle. Then you got the tarsal plate, you can see here. So this is your tarsal plate, Now the tarsal plate is then connected to the bony margin of the orbit. So it is connected by the orbital fascia or the palpebral fascia or the orbital septum. You can see this line extending from the frontal bone, the margin of the frontal bone of the orbit. So here you can see, and this is connecting to the tarsal plate. So there, over here, you can appreciate it. Okay, now just deep to the tarsal plate, you have got the conjunctiva. The conjunctiva, just remember it that it is basically the skin of the eyeball. So over here is your eyeball, and the eyeball is covered by this bulbar conjunctiva, and this bulbar conjunctiva over here forms the superior fornix, and then it comes and covers the under surface of the eyelid as well. So it forms the palpebral conjunctiva. So it is called as palpebral conjunctiva when it covers the lower surface of the eyelid, and it then forms a superior fornix, and then it goes and covers the eyeball. We will study about the conjunctiva further ahead in the next videos when we are dealing with the various problems of the conjunctiva. For now, just remember it. So we have studied it from here. First of all, that we have got the skin, superficial skin, and then we got the orbicularis oculi muscle, then we got the tarsal plate, and finally we get to the undersurface of the eyelid where we met the conjunctiva. And there is your orbital septum, the palpebral fascia or the orbital septum that connects the tarsal plate to the bony margin of the orbit. And here you can see that there is a muscle called as levator palpebri superioris muscle. So this levator palpebri muscle, so it is coming over here and it is inserted into the eyelid. Now when it contracts, what it does, that it elevates the eyelid so that the eyes are opened. Now if you look at the lower margin of the eyelid, so there are some eyelashes which are also called as cilia, and there are two glands which are associated with it. So first of all, this is the gland of Zeiss that opens over here into the hair follicles, and then you have got the glands of Moll, which are actually the modified sweat glands, and these glands of Moll open in between the adjacent eyelashes. So you got glands of Zeiss as well as glands of Moll. Then you got the tarsal gland, which are present in the tarsal plate. So here you can see the tarsal plate, and inside of it is your tarsal gland. Now these the glands of the they protect the eye, and also they produces the tarsal glands, which produces the oily material. And these oily material, what they does, that when the eyes are closed, so these oily material make the eye airtight so that nothing harm it, and it can be protected. So we have covered the glands, we have covered the various structures. Now moving ahead, and you should also see that at the undersurface there is a small sulcus that is running throughout the eyelashes. So this small sulcus, if you can appreciate it here, this is your small sulcus. So it is running throughout, and this small sulcus lines, if any foreign body enters into the eye, so there is very much probability that it will be lying in this subtarsal sulcus. So here is your subtarsal sulcus. It is called as subtarsal sulcus. It runs throughout the eyelid at the undersurface. So, and it lodges any foreign material that is inserted into the eye. So now moving ahead. Okay, if you move ahead, let's see. Now here is your picture, a better picture. Maybe you should recognize it here. So here is your superior tarsal plate, here is your inferior tarsal plate of the eyelids, and then you can see that these two eyelids, these two tarsal plates, then they are joined together at the medial as well as the lateral angles. At the medial angle, it is joined to the lacrimal bone by the medial palpebral ligament. Here is your medial palpebral ligament, whereas at the lateral angle they are connected to the Whitnell's tubercle by the lateral palpebral ligament. So you have got a superior tarsal plate, an inferior tarsal plate, a medial palpebral ligament, and a lateral palpebral ligament. Over here you can see the levator palpebri muscle coming here, levator palpebri superioris, and above it we have studied that there will be orbital septum or palpebral fascia, which will be connecting this superior tarsal plate to the bony margin here. So there will be bony orbital margin. So that will be connecting the superior tarsal plate to the bony orbital septum. Now moving ahead, let's talk somewhat about the conjunctiva. and a small confusion that most often the people have. So here you can see that this conjunctiva is basically, you can see this reddish portion. So this is the skin of the eyeball. Here is your eyeball, and this eyeball is covered by the conjunctiva. Now this conjunctiva, then here it is forming a superior fornix, as well as then it goes here and it covers the underlying surface of the eyelid as well. Now here you can see that this fornix is formed, so this is called as the superior fornix, whereas at the lower margin there is also a fornix. So we have studied that there is a superior fornix and here is your inferior fornix. And now when you can see, when the two eyelashes will close, so as when the two eyelids will close, as a result there a sac like cavity will be formed, and this sac like cavity, of course, it opens at the palpebral fissure over here. Now just one point I need to clarify here, that the conjunctiva does not cover the cornea. The conjunctiva does not cover the cornea, and its epithelium is continuous with that of the corneal epithelium. It just covers the sclera of the eyeball. So that was all for today. Thank you very much, and subscribe my channel for the upcoming videos. Thank you again.